Hey everybody, it's Gina here from Gina Makes It. I am on the Graphics Fairy YouTube channel today, sharing a fun tag that I recently made for my autumn journal. So I am starting off with a piece of paper, which is actually just a brown paper lunch bag that I added some coffee to, which you really can't tell that I added coffee to, so I don't even think it's necessary to add coffee to it. And then I crumpled it up in a ball to create a very worn look. And so part of this tag is going to be embossed with some texture paste that I am tinting with a little bit of brown acrylic paint. And the reason that I am tinting it is because I didn't want it to be white. I kind of wanted it cream. Didn't have any cream paint, and so I just decided to use a little bit of brown paint. So I am just taking this Tim Holtz stencil that I have, and I am using it on top of that brown paper lunch bag, and I'm just going to run it evenly over top of the stencil and then peel my stencil off and then put it aside to dry. While that dries, I'm going to start to trim up some of these extras that are going to go on top of my tag. And so this piece of paper is called the Old Cider Mill, and this is from the Pumpkin Patch membership kit in the premium membership site, and I printed it 4 to a page, so it was on the smaller side. And the reason that I really liked this image particularly is because the pattern that is underneath the word mill is very reminiscent of that pattern that I just stenciled onto that lunch bag. It has that same sort of flowing, ornate kind of edge to it, and I really liked the way that it looked, and so I thought that would be nice on a tag. So I'm also using this image, this floral image. I thought that I might make another one with this mushroom image, but I ended up just making one with that floral image, and that is just on the regular Graphics Fairy site. And so I just typed into the search bar pumpkin, and this little DIY coaster tutorial came up, and as part of that tutorial these images came up, and they're beautiful images, autumnal images with different quotes on them, and I particularly loved this floral one, and so I just printed it out on some regular copy paper, and I am trimming it down to use on my tag. I'm also at the same time trimming up my tag, which is basically the base of it is just going to be a piece of coffee dyed cardstock. And so now I am starting to assemble my tag, and I decided to fold over the Old Cider Mill on the left hand side, and I'm still trying to figure out how I want to utilize this texture paste stencil. And so it's dry now, so I am just going to rip it in half, and like I said, I really want that edge of the stencil because it mimics the pattern on the Old Cider Mill image. So I decided to place it on the right hand side, and I'm utilizing the entire height of the tag itself because I really like the way that it looks. And then I'm sneaking that Old Cider Mill underneath it, and it created a pocket naturally by doing that. And so at first I thought that I might use this floral image as a journaling card that will get tucked inside of that little pocket, but you'll see very shortly that I quickly changed my mind and put it on the other side. But in the meantime, I'm just gluing down that Old Cider Mill printout, and then I'm going to glue the back of my lunch bag that has that texture paste on it on the back side, and I'm going to leave that front part open so I can tuck something inside of it. Point I decide to line the back of this image with some coffee dyed cardstock, and I'm just using the same cardstock that I created the tag base from, and I'm doing this for 2 reasons. The first reason is I want it to have a finished look, and if I would just leave it blank and white on the back side, it would feel unfinished to me, and it would feel like it didn't really coordinate well with the rest of the tag. The second reason I'm doing that is because I know that I want to do some journaling on this image. At this point, I'm thinking I'm going to do journaling and tuck it into that little pocket, but I end up just using 1/2 of it to journal. But regardless, I still know that journaling is going to go on that back side, and I want it to be a finished back side. I also decided to go around the edges with my ink pad to give it a little bit more of a distressed look, and I'm also kind of peeling back that top layer, and I'm ripping it and tearing it to give it a well worn in look. I also thought that it could use a little bit of a textile, and so I pull out a vintage trim from my stash, and I'm trying to figure out if I want it horizontally, if I want it vertically, or how exactly I want it to go. And I decide upon just 2 little pieces, 2 little arcs of the trim right on the bottom right hand corner, and I feel like it gives it just the right amount of texture along with the textured stencil portion. And so now I'm going to take a whole reinforcer that I just added a little bit of ink to. I'm going to glue it to the top where I'm going to punch a hole, and I'm going to tie some sari silk to the top in a nice little bow. It's at this point that I sort of just place that image on the right hand side, and I absolutely fall in love with the way that that stenciling kind of peeks out underneath that image. And I decide that the right side of this tag could really use some sort of a colorful image, and so I just fold that little card in half and I glue the back side to the back of the tag, and what that did was create a little flip on the front end. And I thought, wait a second, this would be the perfect little journaling tag to utilize inside of a larger journal. And so I print out a picture on my HP sprocket, and then I do a little bit of journaling on the inside of that floral image. I also add a little gold paper clip to the bottom of that image, and I end up lining the back of my picture. You can see here the sprocket that it has an adhesive backside, so I just stick it on this piece of paper that is also from that Pumpkin Patch premium membership kit, and I'm lining it with this beautiful orangey kind of doily patterned paper, and I end up sticking this picture inside of the little pocket, and then I do a little bit of journaling about my first 2 pumpkins that I pulled from my garden, my own little pumpkin patch, and how wonderfully sweet they are sitting on my front porch. And then I add this tag onto a page inside of my autumnal journal. I hope that you enjoyed this video. This tag is very easily replicated. Quite honestly, if you just take these techniques, you can apply them to any sort of scenario. And so if you just take the steps of a base, some sort of a textured paste piece, an image on the right side, an image on the left side folded over to create a little pocket, you can create any sort of tag with any sort of materials. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.